This is our personality poster, and the personality definition is the sum of characteristics that make a person unique. The first one we learnt was Martin's view that has three of them. The first one is psychological core, where this is just basically it's the real you. It contains all your beliefs, values, and attitudes and interests, but internally and externally as well. And some say it's the way you're brought up with it as well. The example is like in football, if you get like tackled the way you are, you might get angry and retaliate, or if you're a quite calm person, you're just gonna leave it and just walk away.
Uh, Next one is typical responses. This is the way you respond to certain situations, anything that's happened to you around you. For example, if someone is being negative with you in football, then you might react a certain way, and your response will be based on your psychological core and the real you, depending on what your traits are. So if you're an aggressive person, you're obviously going to act aggressively on the pitch, compared to like a calm person who won't. They'll act nice and calm and maybe walk away from the situation rather than do anything else.
Final one is role-related behaviour. This is the way that your personality changes depending on the role that you're playing and the environment you're in. For example, if you're in a football match, you might be an introvert within your football team. However, you might be given the captain's band, so you've got full responsibility of the team and what goes on the pitch. You'll have to change the way you behave and change your role as a person and make sure your team doesn't do bad things representing yourself.
Next one, trait theory.
Next one's trait theory, where we go into introversion, and these sort of people require high amounts of concentration to do stuff on their own. They also prefer not to be in unexpected situations. They like stuff to be calm, collected. And yeah, the example of that, sport example of that would be F1 drivers, because they just always on their own. They have to be high concentrated, otherwise they're going to be in a situation they don't want to be in. And you've obviously got like on your own like tennis players, basketball players, and all that stuff on their own.
Next one is introversion, which is like a person who's got poor concentration and will want to move on from one thing to the next. Their life always has to be like moving on, and so they are more in exciting situations rather than just sticking to one thing. So an example of this would be like in sport with other people, and team sports mainly, so there'll be a lot of socialising and moving on from one thing to the next and making sure that they can play every game at highest level as possible and be competitive as possible.
Neurotic is people who have an Arctic trait that usually become more hyped and excited in different situations. The majority of the time, after they become excited and hyped, they
Become
more
situations.
anxious and emotional. A small example of this is Eric Cantona in 1995, because he
Keep the football fan.
kicked a football fan and he had a cool collective character where until a fan was taunting him and his neurotic trait came out and Kung Fu kicked up fan.
The last one is stable, and these people usually remain calm, relaxed, or usually emotionally stable. An example of this trait is when you go to take a penalty for a conversion or free throwing, and that, you're most likely going to score because they always remain calm and switched on the situation.
Now we're going on to situational centered views. This is where your behaviour changes on the different situation you're in, and that it argues all of the factors are more important than traits. Your behaviour would change. An example is your behaviour would change from scoring a penalty in training where the pressure isn't as high, and you're just going to be practicing where you're going to put it. Whereas scoring in a high pressure situation such as the World Cup final, you're going to have to make decisions early and make sure that you take what you've been doing in training into that high pressure situation so that you can score, because of the consequences if you don't score. You're going to let a lot of people down because the pressure is so high, and it's like what you've been working towards.
Interactional view. This is when you attempt to predict your behaviour in a sporting situation. You have to take into consideration the situation and the personality traits, and then you link them together. This theory suggests that the situation you're in means the changes in your personality traits instead of your behaviour. For an example of this is if you're a football player and you're being put in a different sport that you aren't comfortable with, you're more than likely going to change, whereas if you're in the same situation as normal, your personality traits will stay the same.
Good. Question for each of you.
Yeah, so
Okay. Where did you tell me about Eric Cantona?
United.
in United.
Can you elaborate then what he did? How does that affect the bigger picture?
It's going to affect the club that he's in and the way that fans look at them,
Why?
because it's giving them a bad reputation to signing players that are violent. It's meant to make people come together and play as a team.
Anything else?
It's going to affect the sport in general as well, because other sports going to look at it and thinking, right, if you're going to do that in that sport, why would you ever want to play it in the first place?
Good. Introversion. Okay. What example did you give me for an introvert?
F1 driver,
Okay. Why was that again?
because they have to stay concentrated all the time.
I know when they're in the car, they're not playing with everyone else, you know, they got like team speaking to them, but still, and they got to do everything by themselves really, and they can't like get out of the car and make somebody else do it for them.
Good. Do they have a backroom staff?
Yeah,
So essentially, are they part of a team?
yeah, but still they can't. The team doesn't drive the car for them.
They're not allowed to as a team anymore because of the new rules.
Good. What if I'm a Red Bull driver? Am I in a pair?
Yeah,
What happens if that other person comes into the bigger scheme of things? Do I have to have some extroverted qualities?
yeah, but some people don't like each other in their fun team, so they always focus on themselves and they're always going to focus on winning the races themselves more than probably on the team.